and still show up louder than their excuses. The world has no sympathy for hesitation, no space for half efforts, no rewards for comfort, only for the relentless. When you get knocked down, the world watches, not to help, but to see if you'll rise again. And if you do, again and again, with fire in your eyes and purpose in your heart, it has no choice but to pay attention. Relentlessness isn't about working hard once. It's about showing up when you don't feel like it, pushing through when no one's clapping, and building when no one's watching. It's the obsession with your vision that makes you immune to the noise, to the doubt, to the hate. The relentless don't beg for permission or wait for applause. They become undeniable by becoming unshakable. So if you want the world to notice, stop chasing approval and start chasing excellence with a hunger that scares your excuses. Keep moving, keep building, and never let failure settle in. Because the moment you choose relentlessness over comfort is the moment the world starts moving out of your way. A relentless isn't a mood. It's a mindset, and the world bows to those who refuse to break. Every morning you wake up, the world doesn't hand you greatness. It challenges you to earn it with every ounce of willpower you've got. And the ones who rise are not the ones waiting for motivation, praise, or applause. They are the warriors who lace up their mindset while everyone else is still sleeping on dreams they're too scared to chase. They are the ones who keep pushing when it hurts, keep showing up when it's hard, and keep building when it feels like no one notices. Because they understand that every day they plant seeds in silence, they are writing a story that one day the world will read aloud with respect. They don't quit because it's tough. They thrive because of the toughness. They don't fear failure. They fear not trying, and they don't ask for easier paths. They sharpen their own resolve and break through walls instead of waiting for doors to open, because being relentless means you don't just want it. You become it, you bleed it, you live it. And when others give 60%, you give 120%, not because anyone is watching, but because you've made a promise to yourself that average is never going to be your legacy. And even when doubt creeps in, the relentless press forward. Not because they don't feel fear, but because they've trained their spirit to walk through fire and come out forged, focused, and untouchable. They've sacrificed comfort, denied distractions, and chosen discipline over excuses so many times that pain is no longer punishment. It's the price of evolution, and they pay it gladly. Because they know deep down the world doesn't remember those who almost tried. It remembers those who were too obsessed to stop, too focused to fail, and too relentless to break. Pain will either chain you or change you. The choice is always yours. Most people let pain define them, trap them, and convince them they're broken beyond repair. But what they fail to realize is that pain, when faced with purpose, becomes a power source greater than any motivational speech or lucky break. It becomes the proof that you were tested and still chose to rise, the fuel that ignites the flame when nothing else is left, and the reason your story hits harder because you didn't just survive. You evolved, you sharpened, you climbed while bleeding. And you didn't wait for healing to start moving. You moved, and healing came along the way. Every tear you shed, every betrayal you endured, every time you felt like quitting but didn't. That pain wasn't punishment, it was preparation. It was strength in disguise, sharpening your edge. While the world thought you were breaking, but you were just becoming something unstoppable. Something real, something that doesn't crack under pressure anymore, because you've lived inside the storm and built a home in the chaos. And now you walk out of it not needing sympathy or applause. Only clarity, purpose, and relentless motion. You stop asking, why me? Then start declaring, watch me, because your scars aren't signs of weakness. They're the armor you earned when life hit hard and you didn't fold. And if you can channel that pain, turn it to obsession, discipline, art, vision, business, strength, then no setback can ever hold you again. Because you've proven that pain doesn't define you, it drives you, it fuels your ambition. And once you master that shift, you become the kind of force that doesn't just survive the fire. You become the fire. You can cry in the dark, but when you rise, rise like you were born for this war. Pain doesn't knock to ask permission. It kicks in the door and demands attention. But the greatest transformation happens the moment you decide it won't control you. When you stop treating pain as something to hide from and start wielding it like the sharpest tool in your arsenal. Because pain, real pain, doesn't just shake you, It remakes you, refines you, and reveals the version of you that complacency will never meet. And once you stop wishing for an easier path and instead build strength to dominate the one you're on, pain becomes your fuel, your reason. Your proof that you've suffered but never surrendered, that you've broken but rebuilt stronger, that the nights you cried yourself to sleep became the mornings you got up hungry and forged a new identity in silence. And while others pity themselves, you become dangerous. Not because you're fearless, but because you've made peace with discomfort. You've learned how to suffer well, how to walk with wounds but still move like a warrior. And that makes you unstoppable. Because no one can break a soul that's already been through hell and chose to climb out with fists clenched, mind sharp and heart on fire. And now when you walk with purpose, not because life got easier, but because you got focused, relentless, immune to the noise of weakness, immune to the lure of giving up. And in every failure, every heartbreak, every loss, you found raw power, untapped grit, and the unshakable truth that pain will either bury you or build you. And the fact that you're still standing means you've already chosen greatness. You've already chosen to let pain push you harder, drive you further, and burn so hot it melts away every excuse, every fear, every limitation. Until all that's left is the strongest, most disciplined, most driven version of you the world has ever seen. If you don't show up for yourself, don't expect the world to either. Every single day, you're faced with a decision to betray yourself again or to finally rise and prove that you're no longer waiting for someone to validate, rescue, or recognize you. Because the truth is, no one's coming to save you. And that's your greatest power. The moment you realize that self-respect, discipline, growth, peace, and success all come down to how fiercely you show up for yourself. Especially when no one is watching, no one is clapping, and no one is checking in. That's when you unlock something unbreakable inside of you. Showing up isn't just about being present, it's about being intentional. It's about waking up and choosing not to quit on the version of yourself you promised to build. It's about pushing through resistance even when your mind screams for comfort, about keeping your word to yourself even when your emotions beg for escape. Because discipline is loyalty to your future. And every day you decide to show up, to journal, to train, to eat right, to work on your craft, to move in silence, to reject the distractions, to set the tone. You're stacking bricks of greatness while others sleep on themselves. And you begin to rise above mediocrity. Not by magic, but by repetition, by commitment, by being your own leader when motivation dies and the world goes quiet. And when you do it long enough, you'll realize showing up isn't a chore. It's a ritual of becoming, of owning your space, your time, your identity. And when others ask what your secret is, you'll smile because the answer was never hidden. You simply showed up when it wasn't easy, when it wasn't convenient, and when no one believed in you, and now they have no choice but to watch you win. You don't need motivation when you've built a stand. When you commit to showing up for yourself every single day, even when the world ignores you, even when your body aches, even when your dreams feel distant, you stop living based on feelings and start operating on standards. And that shift is the beginning of an entirely different life. Because you don't rise by wishing, you rise by grinding. And no matter how small the step, showing up is the ultimate rebellion against your doubts, against your past, against the version of you that wanted to stay average. And what most people don't realize is that success isn't built in the big moments. It's built in the days when nothing exciting happens. When it's just you, your silence, your mirror, and your decision to stay consistent. Showing up is the ultimate proof that you believe in your own value, that you're not here to be rescued, but to rise, that you're not chasing attention, but becoming someone who commands it without asking. And as each day passes, you begin to understand that those who win in life aren't the ones who waited for perfect conditions. They're the ones who created momentum in the middle of the storm. And eventually those quiet mornings, those small choices, those moments of self-respect, they start compounding. They start building a mindset so unshakable that even your worst days become training, even your heartbreak becomes fuel. And suddenly, you're no longer surviving life. You're leading it, and you didn't need luck, applause, or followers. Just a decision to never abandon yourself again. Even you finally realize that no one is coming to save you, that's when you become unstoppable. The final truth, the one we often avoid, deny, or delay, is that everything you've ever needed has always been inside you. Not in someone else's validation, not in the perfect timing, not in applause or followers or praise, but in your decision to show up, to believe, to rise, and to fight. And once you stop outsourcing your strength, once you stop searching for permission to be powerful, you tap into the most dangerous energy of all. Self-belief that doesn't beg, doesn't wait, and doesn't break. You are all you need because your past didn't defeat you, your pain didn't stop you, and your silence didn't kill you. It trained you. It prepared you to lead your life like a storm that no one saw coming. And while the world chases shortcuts you've learned to stand alone, to trust your instincts, and to walk with purpose even when the path is invisible. This chapter is not about motivation. It's about realization, the kind that burns in your bones and makes you understand that your worth was never tied to who left, who doubted, or who didn't clap. And now that you see it clearly, you no longer chase, you attract, you no longer fear, you act, and you no longer shrink. You rise, because the final truth is brutal and beautiful. Your own rescue, your own revolution, your own legend in the making. And the moment you fully embrace that, your life will never belong to anyone else again. You were never incomplete. You were just distracted from your own power. Part 2 begins where the doubt ends. When all the noise dies down, the opinions fade and you're left standing in the silence of your own truth. That's when it hits you. You are not weak, not broken, not missing anything. You are more than enough. You always were. But life and people and pain tried to convince you otherwise. And now you're finally remembering that your strength isn't found in their approval or presence. It's in your ability to keep going when no one claps, to show up when no one checks in, to evolve in darkness and come out unstoppable in the light. And while everyone searches for external power, you've started building yours internally, through discipline, through choices, through the fire of solitude where real confidence is born. And the world may never give you what you deserve, but it can't take what you've claimed, because once you fully lock into the fact that no savior is coming, no miracle will replace the work, and no validation can substitute self-respect. You become the kind of person who doesn't need to be loud to be known, doesn't need to beg to be seen, and doesn't need to explain to be respected. Your energy becomes enough, your presence becomes power, and your silence becomes your strategy. Because when you understand that you are all you need, you stop begging and start building. You stop pleasing and start leading. And from that point on, your life no longer follows their script. It follows your vision, and that vision is untouchable.